Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to this first DiSE workshop in October of 2020 on career development, which Sue is going to lead on. And I know most of you would have met Sue, either if you're a female player through some of the GB stuff and through some of the regions. And I think all of you and all the boys in the group, that's so fine, Caitlin. I'll respond to that later. So all of you probably would have seen Sue very briefly on the initial day on the 6th of September, so exactly a month ago. If you do have any comments or questions, if you want to put those in the chat box at the bottom, I will be actively monitoring that as we go along, and I'll try and either collectively respond to that, or I might go offline and individually respond to any queries, but there will be opportunities to kind of ask us questions. And obviously, as I indicated a moment ago before starting this recording, I will stay on and we'll stop the recording, but I will stay on afterwards to sort of follow up with any issues that any of you have had. So with that, let's go over to you, Sue.
So hi everybody. Yeah, you've just had the intro from John about me. I do know most of you. But there are some of the boys that maybe I haven't met before, apart from on the first session a month ago. So I'm Sue Whitehead. I'm one of the tutor assessors with DiSE. I'm also regional academy manager for the Northwest, and currently team manager for the GB female 19 squad age group. And in my past, I have been a handball player. I have been involved in all levels of handball, through from like school level, club level, through to obviously national team level. And also I've been a member of the England Handball Board, a board director. I've just recently finished 2 terms, so that was 8 years as a board director. So I know obviously the climate of handball in the UK, and I've been around and watched it, and I've seen it develop to where we are now. And obviously where you guys are and the opportunities that you've got are absolutely amazing to where we were, you know, even 10 years ago. Okay, so what I'd say to you is seize the opportunity. Yeah, carpe diem, for those of you that know that. Right, okay, so we're going to get started now with this. So we're looking at, when this refers to your workbook, which you'll get after this, okay, there's 2 units that we're looking at. So developing your own career in handball and looking at understanding how you manage your own career in handball. Okay, so developing that and how you understand and manage your own career in handball. Okay, so here's the learning outcomes. The end of today's session, this evening's session, you should be able to understand how you as an elite athlete, because that's what you are, plan your sporting career, understand how you implement and develop a career plan, and how you evaluate the way that different people will contribute to your career. Okay, this is just a little diagram for you to have a look at. So the realities, looking at the realities of your own sport and how everything feeds into each as you go along with your career planning. You need to obviously set goal setting, and obviously use the SMART process that you've had a session on by Chris. So you're all experts at that, yeah, in setting SMART goals. Look at identifying your support group, those that are around you that can help you. Then look at barriers to success and looking at contingency planning, because I'm pretty sure that some of you at some point along your career will have to look at some sort of contingency. Yeah, prioritizing your goals according to your circumstances, and it just goes round and round because it won't stay the same. Okay, I'm pretty sure that within the next year, 2 years, you will have to review and amend, change your planning, your career planning, both in handball and maybe you know, in your general career planning, life career planning. Okay, if at any point you want to ask any questions, anything that I've said that you don't understand, then just pop it into the chat box. Okay. Okay, so the units are for you to look at realistic potentially to achieve excellence in your sport and to perform at your highest level. That has got to be your main career goal, is that, particularly with the handball, your career handball, is, you wouldn't be here otherwise, is achieving at the highest level, yeah, that you can achieve, and we're going to help you do that. You've got to put the hard work in, but obviously all the people around you in DiSE will help you to achieve that. So looking at your career planning and implementing and developing that career plan. Okay, so as a handball player, maybe in another role within handball, and then obviously alternatives outside of handball and outside of sport. Okay, so we've got a little task for you now, a little bit of brain starting activity. So what we want you to do is to think about careers in handball, yeah? Any careers that you can think of related to handball. And in the chat box, we want to see how many handball related jobs that you can think of. Okay, off you go. Start popping your ideas into the chat box. So any careers at all related to handball.
So I'll read these out, what's come through. So Alice Capel was first with physio. Caitlin has said professional player. Emily has said coaching. Noah has said ref. Miles has said coach as well. Ned has said coach too. Jake has said ref as well. Deja has gone for 2, ref and coach. Abyss has said coach. Luke has gone janitor at the arena. Okay, yeah, that day when we build the England Handball bespoke arena that has got solely handball markings on and has got wide enough space and runoff around the edges, that will be a really important job. Deja's also come back with psychologists. Ella has put commentator. Alice Capel has also put nutritionist. Miles Anderson has put ball boy.
Perfect. There's lots and lots of opportunities in and around handball. So yeah, if you think about that that bigger picture, big handball stadium, full 25,000 seater stadium full, with Great Britain playing whoever, yeah, or even us hosting one of the bigger tournaments in future years, maybe the one of the Final Four competitions, yeah, club level, big stadium there. So all those handball related careers that would be housed in that venue. You've really touched on a lot of those there. Okay. So creating a career action plan. So you covered loads of the options there, handball related on the career. So now we're starting to look at a career action plan. Okay. So the things that you need to consider. All right. So what you're going to do, how are you going to do it, when are you going to do it, and who you're going to do it with, who's going to be around to help you, who's going to be within your support bubble, if you like. We all know about bubbles at the moment, don't we? So within your career action planning for handball, who's going to be around there to support you, okay? So your career's in the middle, that's what we're looking at now, and everything else is around that, as to how you can get a really precise, if you like, at this moment in time, action plan to move forward. Any questions? Okay, so this is just one page, if you like, out of your workbook that you'll get that you need to complete. So it just asks you to start looking at your long-term career plan within handball, yeah? And just various questions there that ask you, describing about the standard of competition that you wish to reach. So again, you know, you looking at those SMART principles, do you want to be a full-time paid professional player? Is that on your Is that on your agenda? If it isn't, it doesn't matter. You just want to put down the level that you want to reach. Yeah. Where would you like that to be? Club? Is that going to be a professional club? Somewhere in Europe? Are you going to stay here and play within a Premier Handball League club? If it is going to be a professional club, what do you anticipate your earnings will be? And then obviously putting some timescales in there, your deadline to achieve the above there. So this is 2 to 5 years from now. So you're starting out on your journey. You've got DiSE for 2 years, so obviously onwards from there. And then who are the people around you that are going to support you and help you to get there? Looking at what qualifications you think you might need. Yeah. Okay, so some of those jobs that you mentioned in the chat. So within Handball, we've got all different kinds of related careers and jobs if you want to stay within sport. Obviously, lots of administration jobs within handball, within other sports, coaching jobs, development jobs, actually working for your governing body, yeah, medical professional jobs, a lot of medical related professions, as a player, as a paid player, professional player, referees and officials. Referees, you might not know this, but can make quite a good living working for sort of as an EHF qualified referee. You can, subsidise and work part-time and travel the world. A couple of the guys from Scotland that were our first, if you like, EHF pair of referees who refereed at the London 2012 Olympics, and they're still going now and travelling all over doing different levels of competitions. Officiating, you can be different levels of officiating, from your club level right through to on the Olympic stage, where at London 2012, I know that you have national table officials that are selected, which I would say just to do the table, but you've got to be spot on with everything that you do when you're actually a table official at that level, okay? And you've got to pass certain, levels of qualifications along the way there to even be selected. Manage different management positions, like Luke, I think, who mentioned, obviously looking after the venue, different management positions at all levels of facility managers, and different management levels there. And then also looking at different directors of sport in general, of handball at different levels, and at different levels of sports and other sports, as well as in schools, depending upon the position and what they're called. A lot of schools do have director of sports, universities, colleges. So all these are the types of jobs that you did touch on. The vast career-related professions that you can go into. Okay. So what I want you to do now is for you to look at and retrieve one of the SMART handball related goals that I know you've recently shared with Bobby, that you would like to achieve anytime in the next 6 to 15 months. So this was one of your short-term goals that you set and you shared with Bobby. If you can retrieve that, or if you can remember what you put, then we want you to type or copy and paste it into the chat box. If I've completely lost you and you don't know what we're asking you to do, pop that in the chat box as well. Okay.
So we'll give that a minute to fill up and see what people say. So again, this will be what you either email directly to Bobby and or Joao. They're in the process of moving that over to a shared Google Drive where we can all access. And I'm also working on a process whereby we can collectively share that between you and the staff around you, not between each other necessarily, as well. Some of you would have put an expectation statement when you signed up on the DiSE enrollment aspiration. So, for example, just simply because he is first on the list. In fact, no, I'm going to pick on someone who is not here and read theirs out. So I will go for someone who said, I'd like to develop as a handball player and an all-round person. I'd also like to widen my knowledge and understand all aspects of the sport. So perhaps not a very smart one, and probably not one that was impacted by Chris's delivery on goal setting on the 6th of September. So we would want from this person their updated version. And just to let you know, it's not one of you that's on the call currently on this Tuesday evening. So 4 have come through. So I will summarize Miles. So brilliant. So you've all been able to go and copy and paste, I think. So Ella has got one about reducing defensive mistakes in a unit, for example, in the 3v2, by improving my awareness of players during the game, not only the opposition, but my own team as well. So you're talking there about are you talking there, Ella, if you can just unmute yourself for a second, are you talking there about an underload situation or an overload situation?
An overload situation.
Where you've got 3 defenders versus 2 attackers.
No, 3 attackers versus 2 defenders.
And you are a defender?
Yeah.
So you would be underloaded then.
Oh, okay.
So you are on the side with the underload. You are 1 down rather than 1 up and overloaded.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. So that's primarily for my understanding. But again, part of my process with you is to try and if I can make sense of it, then it's probably a really good goal. And with your help, I obviously am able to do that. So Cal has put 2 gym-based goals. So I'm going to summarize this as again, he's done a lot of detail here. So increased shoulder press, max weight. So that's probably either, so Cal, again, if you can unmute, either a 1 rep or a 10 rep max, or a 5 rep max, or a 3 rep max.
Yeah, just increasing that overall strength, basically.
Right, but which is it? And the answer could be, I'm not sure yet. Is that a 1 rep max, a single max weight, or is it a 5 rep max?
Probably 5 rep.
Right, okay, cool. So again, our job is to prompt you to go away and refine these, or to increase the pull-ups during a session, as well as increasing deadlift and squat. So that's great. Miles has put vertical jump. And I believe, Miles, I've seen somewhere where you've indicated exactly how far that will go as I scroll down. So again, Miles, if you just quickly unmute, if you're able to. Have you got a specific distance you want to increase your vertical jump by?
No, not yet, no.
Okay, so, and again, part of that is about you finding out what your base level is, your baseline is right now, and then trying to work with an S&C coach and your handball coaches to identify what will be a realistic in the time span that you will indicate that is for, which isn't in your statement, but again, that's fine. Luke do you have to type it out? So again, Luke, if you want to just quickly unmute yourself. Do you want to talk us through yours just very quickly?
Yeah, it's just because it's on my phone and this is on my laptop.
Cool, yeah.
So I just want to get faster 30-meter sprint time by, and I measure it by doing 3 30-meter sprints each week.
Right.
So
okay.
I'd want to improve this over 8 weeks, but I don't know how much to improve it by because I've not done the original time, and then I'd need to consult someone to see what's realistic to do in that time frame.
Excellent. So you would benchmark it against yourself, and then you want to benchmark it against what perhaps similar students have done in your situation with the same age group as you, and maybe I know we've got some data from last year's DiSE cohorts. So probably having access to that at some point, which will all be anonymized, will be a good thing for you to look at. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that. And on that point, if Sue, you don't mind me just taking over for a second.
No.
Luke, you said you've got it on your phone. How have you got it stored on your phone? Is it just in notes?
I think so. I might have deleted it now though. but I can probably go back on my emails and
Right.
see
Okay.
if
So
I've
it's
sent
stored.
emails.
So it's currently stored in your emails, and that's where you've been able to get it from. Okay, because
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
we'll talk about, and we'll put in place some systems where you can actually almost have these in one place that you can refer to. You know, a bit like again, if you know, I know of people who actually write out their goals and put
I've
them.
done that. I've written it out,
Right. Okay.
so that's why I can't like upload it.
So you've written it. So you've written on a piece of paper. So
Yeah, go ahead.
flash us the piece of paper. Okay, and flash us the notebook. So
Notebook.
show us as a cover of a note. Show us the cover of your notebook.
It's just the one I found.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I would suggest, and again, this will apply to all of you, giving you a bit more time to type as well, that you might even take a photo of it, because you can have that and share that and store that quite easily, can't you? You know, and again, I think one of the things we're keen to explore with you all is your best way and the most effective way for you to record these things. It's great us saying put it on an Excel spreadsheet and sending it off to us to assess it, but that's not really always very usable for you. So, you know, that is a strategy I use quite a lot. I take pictures of things, you know, even if it's handwritten in my scruffy writing. Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Luke. Emily has talked about increasing the time I spend in the air before releasing the ball when shooting. So probably a similar kind of thing, you know, maybe Emily, and again, you can unmute if you wish to, you know, do you know how long you spend in the air when you shoot, and how much height do you need to increase, and how might you measure it more effectively than maybe just a stopwatch, or, you know, looking at film of you jumping up and down in the air. There may be some vertical jump stuff that we can work with you on. Alice has talked about confidence and skill in a 1v1 situation. Okay, so again, my question to that is potentially, how can you measure that? Noah has got about leading the team and being a playmaker. So again, quite a good goal and a valid goal. I think all of these goals we put are valid. So that would be about what that looks like and how you would behave in those situations. Emily has asked, does it have to be the whole piece because it's on a different device? Again, that's great. That's not a problem at all. Jake's got about hang time too. So it probably covers this for quite a lot of you, particularly those of you who take lots of shots. They just talked about taking shots, make quick decisions, slowing down in play so I can reduce mistakes when dribbling. Okay, good. Luke's got 30-meter sprint. Alex has got max vertical jump. Abyss has got one-on-one defense. And then has also specifically talked about strength and tackle technique, and focusing on arm muscle exercises. So question for Alice, if you want to unmute, is, this is a yes, no to start off with. Do you know which arm muscles you want to improve the strength of?
I was thinking for a tackle, you'd probably need a very strong, like, bicep strength.
Okay. And so if it was the case, and I'm not saying it's not, you would then know how to measure that in terms of what weights you're lifting during what exercise, and that could allow you to make that target even smarter, couldn't it then?
Yeah, because as the exercises improve, so with the weights, I'd like to see almost like doing the weights I started with more ease, and then improving that way.
Cool. And then you can accurately measure, or you can measure how stronger your arms are, and then hopefully that will carry over to your technique and your application of the technique during a tackle. Brilliant.
Can I just jump in there?
Of course, yeah.
So Alice, do you know that it is your upper body then that is what you need to strengthen?
Yeah, because I find with in defense, sometimes with especially a quick attacker, is that my feet strengths are the same, but it's just as they turn around me, I find that my upper body also can sometimes turn. So I want to work on working with like planting my feet in a tackle, but also keeping that strength and keeping the attacker in front of me and not letting them get around.
Right, okay. Because I was just going to say, obviously with defending, your feet and your legs obviously play a huge part in that. So
yeah, definitely.
if you've discussed that with somebody that is, you know, for sure your upper body, then that's all I was just going to say. That how do you know that it is your upper body and not your, you know, your leg strength that's going to help you be a better defender?
Yeah. Well, obviously the workouts would be like all body if it's just like having a specific focus on the arms without ignoring any other.
Yeah.
Because obviously everything in handball plays an effect on every part of the body, not just a specific part.
Yeah, and you'll know yourself, won't you, if you feel like it's your upper body, arms, shoulders that, you know, people are getting around you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great.
Great. So back to you, Sue.
Okay. Right, just before so that was great there, guys. Thanks for your input there. Just before I put the next slide up, another little task that I want you to do is thinking about goal setting is just very quickly in the chat box, put some reasons in there why you think we need to set goals. So why do you think we need to set goals? Just a minute on this and then I'll put the next slide
So
up.
motivation high from Cal, motivation from Alex. Emily said, so training is effective. Noah to show progression, Ella to keep focus, Ruby motivation, Luke to know where you're going, Caitlin to measure success, Alice Capel to progression. I'm going to have to call you Alice Capel all the time now. It's progression. Deja is so we have something to work towards to improve performance, Miles to keep focus, Alicia optimize performance so you keep going towards your goal. That's me being slow. That's not the way you've typed that. You've written that. You've written that, and you've also done that privately as well, Alicia, which is fine. And I apologize if I shared that inadvertently. But as everyone else has done, and again, this is part of our process. If you can try and chat in the whole group to everybody, that would be fine. If you want something done privately, then again, just indicate that. Chloe has said, so we have something to aim for. Alice, that's fine, Alicia. Alice Abbas has said, keep motivation and inspiration. Jake has said, give us something to be determined on to improve, if that makes sense.
Wow, great. Okay, well done. Thanks for that. So this, here's a list here from the National Coaching Foundation. Some of the reasons why we need to set goals. Improves organisation and planning skills, action plan to ensure progress, which was mentioned quite a lot over long and short term. Agreeing your priorities and making decisions. Focus your attention onto key issues, yeah. Direct your efforts towards different tasks. Enhance or maintain motivation, which was mentioned a lot there, through success. Develop specific aspects of your performance, that was mentioned as well. Monitor your progress and provide yourself with feedback. Okay, well done. I think we've pretty much got most of those. So some common goal setting errors here. So goals that you set yourself are maybe too easy, yeah, too broad and general, which we spoke about in depth really in the goal setting. Setting yourself unrealistic expectations or outcomes. So you obviously need to set yourself realistic expectations and what you can actually achieve. Otherwise that will demotivate you. And not directly applicable to the desired outcome or task of what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. Developing an incoherent plan. What does that mean? Anybody? Yeah. So if you just pop anything in the chat box there. So lacking in direction, not meeting your deadlines. Has anything gone in the chat there?
No, nothing else.
Okay, flexibility and a means to evaluate. So goals set by an outsider. So then if somebody else set the goals for you or set your goals for you, you don't have an ownership of that then, yeah? So you need to set your own goals so that you will try to obviously achieve those goals, and you do take ownership then of that. Inflexible goals where, you know, you can't change them, can't amend them, which you know yourself with different goals that you set, you do have to review and change maybe. Outcome goals set when performance goals were more appropriate. Okay, so what does that mean? Any ideas? So set yourself outcome goals when really setting a performance goal of what you can achieve, where you want to go specifically, might be more appropriate in that instance. Okay. Not having a written plan, everything being up there in your head, which John just touched on there. So it is an idea to have things written down, but maybe visible where you can see them on a regular basis, so you know what, so it just actually reminds you of where you're going and how you're going to get there. Yeah, so what that actual goal is. We touched on where it might be if you've wrote on a bit of paper, to take a photograph of it. Might be that you design something, take a picture of it. If it's graphics, you makes your brain work better. Draw what your goal might be in a picture. Maybe put that as a screensaver on your phone, so that every time you open your phone, your goal's there. And then obviously when that goal's achieved, you can change it, and maybe change your screensaver on your phone. Yeah, that's just one idea, so it's visible to you. Maybe have it up in your bedroom, stuck on your mirror, because you go to your mirror every day at least, yeah, to remind what your actual goal is. Then another error there is no method of evaluation or following up. So that's another error that you might come up against, is not actually reviewing and evaluating and following up on what the goal is, what you've set yourself, and how you're going to get there and how you're going to change it. So they're just some errors there with regards to setting your goals, things that you might come up against. Do you want to add anything there, John?
Yeah, does it sound echoey when I unmute myself when Sue was talking? Did anyone find it echoey, or was it just me? It was just me. Alice Kapow came back with focusing on outcome rather than performance when talking about the third one up, which again is I'm gonna be super critical here, Alice. That's like answering an exam question with the question itself. I was an A-level PE examiner several years ago, and one of the questions was, what is positive thinking? And students actually wrote, it's when you think positively. So just beware and just be wary of that, particularly as you answer some of the workbook stuff. So yeah, you are focusing on the result of the game rather than how you played. Okay, which I think is what you're saying there, but you perhaps just need to express it in different ways. And as Sue was saying, which is why we kind of highlighted the written plan bit, that is really crucial. You know, a lot of elite athletes that I've spoken with or heard their story or, you know, had the pleasure of working closely with, have always said it was when I wrote it down that it made it more tangible. And equally when I shared it. So one of the guys I've done some work with is a former GB Olympic swimmer. He was captain of the GB swim team in 1996, before all of you guys were born, other than me and Sue. And his name's Alan Rapley. What he did was he wrote down 0.04, which was the time difference he had to make up to beat the world record, I think it was, or his top competitor. And he wrote that close to 1,000 times on bits of paper, and he used to just put those bits of paper everywhere, so he couldn't go anywhere with his own stuff and not find that written down to remind him what his focus was. So, you know, if he was having a bad day and he decided to go on, you know, let's say his equivalent of a PlayStation, maybe his Atari back then, it would be stuck to his Atari joystick. so he would see it, and that would probably motivate him to go training as well. So yeah, so again, we want to work with you to get some better ways for you to set goals effectively. Thanks, Sue.
Okay. Right, so the next slide, sports performance examples. So we filled the middle one in, increase my 9-meter jump shot score percentage by 5%.
So these ones, Sue, if I just jump in, these ones will be the ones that we kind of have covered now. So we kind of did this slightly back to front. I think I got carried away by reading everyone's out.
Yeah.
But these are obviously the examples we've talked about. And this is one of the specific goals by one of your colleagues who I knew wasn't in on the call today. So again, he's identified vertical jump, height, hang time as an example. And he's specified what percentage he wants to improve those by. So again, just to reinforce that you've all set some really good goals, which we could obviously continue to make better.
Okay, so some other roles, another role in sport examples here. So other goals here that obviously you might look at within your career planning that you might actually want to achieve. So a few different examples here. Achieving a level 1 coaching and qualification. Some of you might already have achieved that. Completing a different course, undertaking a first aid qualification, applying for work experience within a sports media organisation. So these are other roles in sport examples of. Okay. So this is where we're starting looking now at the people around you that support you. So you are not going to achieve your goals alone. Okay. So who can help you? Right. So start thinking about the people around you that can actually help you. How they're going to help you, why are they going to help you, what they're going to help you with, what they're going to help you achieve, where will they be, and when are they going to help you. So if you want to, I've just moved that again now, so start thinking about those people, and in the chat box, if you just start to pop in some of the people around you that you can use to help you achieve your goals. That list that you got a sneak preview of is not exhaustive.
So we've got teammates, coaches, senior players, club coach, parents, coaches, teammates, specialists, e.g. nutritionalists, coaches, parents, teammates, parents, family, teammates, coach, my coach, parents, not your coach's parents, I'm assuming, but my coach and parents, PE teachers. Yep.
Okay, great. I think you probably covered that list and more. Yeah, so who can help you? Pretty much everybody around you, coach, fellow athletes, manager, mentor, advisor, parent, guardian, sports agent, sports science support staff, teachers, tutors, all those people around to help you. So what we need to do next is look at those people around you that support you. Yeah. Choose one member of your support team and answer each of these questions. So how are they going to support you? What they're going to support you with? Where, when, and why, in any order. And are they going to, if you drop that, are they dropping that in the chat box as well, John?
Unless anyone wants to be brave and wants to just come on and talk through that.
Anybody?
Even if you just come on and answer one of those questions. So you don't have to do all 5, just answer one.
I would probably do my sister.
Your
Okay,
sister?
Yeah.
because she obviously plays handball and she knows what she's doing, and I can ask her for advice.
So you've answered which of those 5 questions then, Alice?
Like why?
Okay, yep, you justify
Yeah,
why you
why,
got
yeah.
her as an experienced source. Excellent. So Cow has gone, thanks Alice. So Cow has gone senior player, playing in the same position as you. As you can, he can advise you on what to do during the training session on how to perform better in the drill you're doing. So that's partly a why, that's partly a how, and that's partly a what. Yeah?
Yeah, good, good. Anyone else do the when and the where? Or either or?
So I did my club coach, and I thought for when they could help me is like obviously at training, but also if you follow up with any like questions or just anything you want to ask your coach, you can always email outside of training to
Yeah.
get any more like personal tips or just any way in which you can improve from there.
Yeah, good, good.
Cool. And I think you're right, Alice, they do go hand in hand, a bit like Lucas said, your coach at training. And I think one of the key things here, I was talking to a colleague in sport earlier today, this has probably been one of the biggest increases over the last 7 or 8 months. We probably have taught to each other more in terms of going offline, going asynchronous, not directly and emailing or texting or WhatsApping or direct messaging. So I think, you know, that again is certainly something that you should see the DiSE team around you as being accessible, not 24/7, but you can certainly drop us messages and we'll get back to you and support you with those, you know, unless obviously you need an immediate answer, in which case go to those people in closer proximity. Good.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks. So here's just a list of some of the people that are involved in an elite athlete yourselves. Yeah, we've touched on these all. You've mentioned at least pretty much all of them at some point. And this is where you start thinking about what their jobs are and what they do for you, and giving some examples. This will, once you get the workbook, you will see and have some form of selection process as to who you might select and want to focus on. And the how and what, how do they help you? What do they do to help you? We've just had some examples there of Alice's sister, a senior player, the coach, how they support you in and around you. Okay. So people that contribute to your career here, again, this is just another page out of the workbook, which you will see, and just what you need to detail within that. If when you start completing the workbook and you need any more clarification, obviously you can send through any messages, any questions, anything that you're confused about or need clarification on to John. So here with your career planning, make sure that you've got all the information you need to make the best decisions about your career, yeah? Knowing the qualifications you may need and the steps you should take to achieve these. And then having a contingency plan in case you need to change your career plan or you become aware of opportunities of which you weren't previously unaware. So contingency plan is always good to have up your sleeve, in your pocket, written down, or even you might just come across it and then change your mind about something. Review your career plan at regular intervals and make changes where you need to. And you might have to make changes as well. So your contingency planning, it's obviously an alternative action plan. So your plan B where you might have to change things. A good example, obviously, which I'm sure at some point some of you have come across, will be an injury, and you always need to have a backup plan. How are you going to get back to full fitness? Who are you going to use to help you to get back to full fitness? And thinking about potential problems and being prepared to have a contingency plan, you'll be more able then to deal with the problem. So if you think that you're never going to get injured, you might not be able to then cope with it. So think about the what ifs. What if you did get an injury and it put a stop to whatever your career plan was? Always have look at what an alternative might be within your planning. When writing your contingency plans, try to make sure you answer some of the following questions. Yeah. What the initial steps are, defining your symptoms, maybe if it is injury that's putting a stop to what your original plan was, making sure you seek the right advice, seeing a physio or a different medical person, highlight the issues and try to resolve what those issues are, talk it through with your coach. You might need a different program, using strength and conditioning, you need different exercises. If obviously get a diagnosis if it's going to be long term, and then focus on different goals so that you do stay motivated. So if it's injury, then you might have to shift your focus to maybe focusing on your academic side of things. Yeah. If it's unresolvable, then maybe looking at alternative options, alternative career planning, looking at going down the coaching route if you still want to be involved in the sport, officiating, depending upon your injury, refereeing. But obviously you need to be fit to be a referee. So I'm pretty sure that we've all faced at least one of these in your short career, maybe up to now. If anybody has, do you want to just pop that in the chat box if you've experienced any of these up to now, an injury, an illness that's maybe shifted your plan. If it was for your season that you were going to maybe reach the cup final or something like that. Something that's obviously that nobody could really put a plan in place for over the last few months, and with regards to their handball career was COVID. But obviously we've had to change things because of that as we've gone along. But we didn't, I don't think anybody planned for it, did we, John? But I think we've made the most of it. Yeah. So that we can actually carry on. Okay. This is another part of your workbook. Looking at your contingency planning if you come up against any of these. Just going to recap now. So hopefully you understand the principle of goal setting. Yeah, after the session with Chris and what we've gone over again here, what you've done with Bobby as well as. Have you identified appropriate people and resources to help you achieve each of your goals? Have you been able to identify potential barriers that could prevent your goal success, you achieving your goals? Your plans, your career planning. Did you offer suitable contingencies to overcome the barriers? Have you got any questions related to any of what we've covered so far? If you have, pop them in the chat box. Little quote there. An idea is just a dream until you write it down, then it's a goal. Yeah. A few additional career-related activities that you might want to start thinking about is putting together a CV. If you haven't already done so, some of you might already have put a CV together because you might have been applying for part-time jobs, etc. But if you haven't, maybe looking at putting a CV together. Looking at your email address, if it's appropriate, if it's professional. I spoke earlier to John about this. One of my email addresses that I've got and I've had since emails were invented, as far as I was concerned, many, many years ago, was mine is speckysue@hotmail.com, which is not very professional. So maybe you start looking at maybe having a few different email addresses and using the one that's appropriate for what you're doing at the time. Again, looking at different career-related activities, looking at your social media presence, where you are on social media, which platforms you're on, maybe looking at more of a professional one on, you know, for future, LinkedIn. You might not be wanting to do that now, but obviously that's one related to careers. And looking at completing applications, personal statements, looking at your supporting application if you're thinking of applying for a place to Denmark, to one of the Handball academies in Denmark, looking at UCAS applications and job applications. Might seem a long time away in the future, you know, 2 years away, if you're looking at Denmark and UCAS, but it's still all worth sort of planning and organising yourself for that now and being prepared. Some skills that you can transfer from sport here to your working world when you come to get jobs and you're out there in the big bad world. All these, the things that you learn as an athlete, that you've developed as an athlete, you can transfer into real life. Yeah. Then finally, looking at the workbook now that you need to complete. So there's the link to where you work and find the workbook, and we are looking for you to complete the careers workbook tabs C1 to C4 by Tuesday the 20th of October. Okay, so in 2 weeks' time.
So if I maybe take over here, Sue. So I've put that in. Thank you. Thanks, Caitlin. Brilliant. So I've put that in the chat, and again, I'm going to stay on a little bit longer to allow people to maybe copy anything or click on any of these links. That's just a shortcut to a Google Drive. Yes, and I think with both Sue's, I'm going to answer that because someone is responding to me privately, but it's a good lesson to learn. So for Sue's email and for a student I had who had an email address called D the Disco Diva, who was training to be a PE teacher, it is really useful to have like a proper grown-up email address that's your own, that's identifiable clearly as you, and then anything that you have that's slightly different, use that for, you know, less formal stuff or more frequent stuff. But it is a good idea, and I know a lot of you would have probably had email addresses created when you were a lot younger, just to review those. And again, from what I've seen, most of you are okay, but I thought I'd address that with one of your peers. So in the chat is the link to the careers workbook. Again, when you go on and look at this, the way that we generally collate the evidence is via Excel workbooks. I have also shared specifically the Google Drive, so number one on this screen here, with all the workbooks in. I'm conscious of the fact that over the course of the next 2 years that we work with you, some of you will get further ahead. Some of you will have situations that allow you to do a bit more work or have got some knowledge already. So go in there, download the workbooks. I think I've limited the access to read only for you. If you do go in and mess it up and save it as your own, let me know. Don't panic, let me know, and I can recover it. That's not the only copy of those workbooks that we have. So go on and look at all of them. Specifically, and again, I might put the, have you been denied access, Luke? Okay, so I might have a look at that in a second. Specifically, we also want you to go into the mental skills workbook. And again, when you go into Excel, you will see that there is a tab M2 that we want you to actually go on and complete. So kind of on the basis of the session you did with Casper, you might need to go back and review that video, but we just basically want you to do a rating of what you think your strengths and areas for development are, and then share that as a screenshot back to me. So you can either do that, as some of you have done. Okay, a couple of you have been denied access. Let me resolve that shortly. So share a screenshot of M2 back with me, either via email or happy for you to WhatsApp it to me. And my number is on other emails you've had from me. This week, I'm also going to email out to you a DiSE Handball handbook. We've just had lots of delays on this internally within the college, and we're just awaiting final sign off from our exec leadership team on this. We've got a new principal, and she likes to put her stamp on lots of things, which is great. And connected to that is an online quiz, which actually will test your knowledge of specifically safeguarding, equality and diversity, and prevent. I'm aware that several of you were very persistent, which again is another positive attribute. Several of you were struggling to get onto the online training, and I've been asking for a video version of it, but that's not been forthcoming. The quiz will ask you a couple of specific questions about each of those things. Hopefully in your school college experience, you'll have done those anyway. And when you answer this induction quiz, I will get the answers, and then it's my job to support you to understand. So where there are any gaps, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. Where there are gaps, I'll kind of fill you in on what you need to know, and I'll either do that individually, or maybe I'll do that collectively if there's some generic questions that we don't seem to be answering. And then the last two things for you to do, and again, what I will do as I'm talking is I will also try and share this presentation with you. So again, you can go and download it as you're still on the call. Is I need you to attempt to log on to the Loughborough College Learn Zone. So the link there, which will take you into the Loughborough College system, will basically get you to activate a Loughborough College Learn Zone space, which you'll need to do via your Loughborough College email address, which, if you can remember, is the 6-digit number at student.lucolt.ac, ac.uk, sorry, at student.lucolt.ac.uk, forgotten what it was then. And then that will allow us to set up a better way to communicate some information with you, and probably be a bit more asynchronous as well. And then the final thing to say before you do potentially log off of the call, or we'll stop recording, is also in the next 3 weeks, with me to do what's called an ILP, which is an individual learner plan. And prior to that call, I'll exchange some information with you individually on email about what information we've got about you, what information we need about you, and then also, just a brief, formal but relatively, hopefully, supportive chat about how we can help you to achieve your goals in and around handball, and also in and around conversations I've had with you separately to our set calls. So I've set up this as a Calendly slot, and if you click onto the Calendly link, and I've obviously put that as a work related link with my DiSE, WISE, and then the 2.7, maybe I'll explain at a later point. That's the link to go on, and then they're basically, when you click on the calendar, over the next 2 weeks, there are some slots on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, so not Thursday, but at 4, 4:30, 6, and 6:30. Now, if none of those slots are any ideally, if it's during the school day, that would be great. But we can also flex outside of those. And just as a for info, I've actually got, although it doesn't look like it on the screen, I've actually got 29 slots available. There are 30 of you, but I anticipate that there will be a couple of you who will actually want to flex outside of those set slots. So obviously you guys on the call have got almost first call on that. So get in there quickly to book those. And I think that's it from me. For some reason, my screen has potentially frozen. Sue, I don't know whether you are still there.
Yeah, I am.
And whether
Mine is.
you're able to stop the recording at all.
Let's have a look. Security.
Well, I've got, it's a bit of a black screen, but if anybody has any questions, if you want to put those to us now.
Yeah, we can stop the recording now.
Yeah, so if you stop the recording.
You want to stop the cloud recording? Yes.